It seems that in certain circumstances in the state of California, Airbnb guests can overstay their rental, continue to reside in the Airbnb unit, and then have to be paid by the property owner in order for the property owner to retake possession of the dwelling. At least that's what one judge seems to have determined in a very peculiar situation in the state of California. Let's have a look. An article out of the New York Post, and essentially it's about an Airbnb guest who stayed for 500 days and is now essentially telling the property owner that the property owner has to pay her to leave. An Airbnb guest, dubbed the tenant from hell, has been squatting at a luxurious guest house overlooking the hills of Los Angeles for more than a year and a half and is refusing to leave unless the homeowner pays her a $100,000 relocation fee. Elizabeth Hirschhorn rented a long-term stay at Sasha Jovanovich's Brentwood guest home in September 2021 for 6 months at a rate of $105 a night, with fees bringing the total to $20,793, according to court documents. But her Airbnb stay ended in April 2022, and Hirschhorn has been living there rent-free ever since. A judge ruled that under the city's rent stabilization ordinance, Jovanovich has no legal reason to evict her under Los Angeles's recently adopted Just Cause ordinance and would be required to pay her a relocation fee to evict her. In an email to Jovanovich's lawyer obtained by the LA Times, Hirschhorn's attorney, Amanda Seward, argued that $100,000 is Jovanovich's cheapest way of getting out of the whole ordeal. It is the home of the tenant until the landlord gets a judgment, however distasteful that is to your client. Hirschhorn's attorneys also argue that she should not pay rent, and she should instead be paid back the $20,793 because the city never approved the guest house for occupancy and its shower was constructed without a permit. The landlord broke the law and tried to make money by renting out an illegal bootleg unit, her attorney told the LA Times. After he was caught, instead of doing the right thing, he has resorted to bullying, harassment, and the filing of frivolous lawsuits containing elaborate false stories, all in an attempt to cover his tracks. But Jovanovich's attorney disagrees. She's the tenant from hell, he said. If she's right, the theory is that if a landlord has something that isn't permitted, then you can stay in it rent-free forever. The trouble apparently began about 5 months into Hirschhorn's stay when she complained her electronic blinds stopped working. When Jovanovich went into the unit to repair them, he noticed water damage and signs of mold around her sink, which he claims were not there before Hirschhorn moved in. He offered to pay her to stay at a hotel for 5 days while his contractor handled the repairs, according to messages that were reviewed by the Times. Jovanovich even offered Hirschhorn $1,500 toward any hotel. But Hirschhorn declined, writing back, "I don't feel safe being forced to vacate with a housing disability and the high risk of COVID-19 complications." Jovanovich then offered for her to stay in his home, but she declined that as well, citing an extreme disability due to cat dander. While she wouldn't move, Jovanovich resorted to getting the city housing department involved in filing motions to evict her. Hirschhorn, in turn, reached out to the city's Department of Building Safety, which found 2 code violations at the unit, that it was unapproved for occupancy and had an unpermitted shower. She then sent a complaint to the housing investigator alleging illegal eviction, harassment, and refusal to pay her relocation fees. The housing investigator concluded that because the unit violated city codes, Jovanovich had to withdraw his eviction notices until he could prove the guest house was in compliance. But Jovanovich argues that when he tried to access the unit to make the repairs, Hirschhorn wouldn't let him inside. He was recently fined $660 for not complying. Jovanovich is now suing Hirschhorn in 2 different cases. A damages complaint to recoup the $58,000 in unpaid rent and an appeal of the judge's decision to dismiss the eviction case. This isn't about one ruling. It's about the entire foundation, his attorney argued. If she's right, you can rent an Airbnb for 2 days and refuse to leave on the 3rd unless the landlord pays you to leave. But Hirschhorn filed a countersuit in August, accusing Jovanovich of 15 violations, including negligence, nuisance, intentional infliction of emotional distress, unlawful business practices, and a violation of the LA County COVID procedures. So these 2 people are going back and forth, and in the middle of it, a judge comes in and says, well, you know what? Because this unit is not fit to be occupied according to the code, then I can only imagine that the judge's reasoning is you can't evict her from a non-rental dwelling. There is no clause under the California code that allows for a just cause eviction when you don't have a proper dwelling unit to evict someone from. So you need to pay her to leave. For all its flaws, the state of Florida would not allow anything like this to occur. I am at a loss as to how this person who owns this property, regardless of the code violations, which he should not have gotten, which he should have done things properly from the get-go. But regardless of those, putting those aside, I don't understand how California can allow somebody to remain in a unit for an entire year without paying rent and then tell the homeowner that the homeowner has to pay that person to leave. It makes no sense to me. Even under the California code, the landlord has the option for a just cause eviction to either pay some sort of relocation fee or pay an amount equal to 1 month's rent. If you totaled up 30 days worth of rent for this Airbnb, he has grossly exceeded the amount that it would have been to pay her that just in unpaid rent for the year she's been living there. This is preposterous to me. I am totally confused, but perhaps somebody out there can explain to me how this makes sense from a legal standpoint, because I don't understand it. Let me know in the comments below. My name is Nathan Saunders, and this is The Legal Good.